I unexpectedly traveled 7 years into the future. To my surprise, the school queen, who had always disliked me, was now my wife. She clung to me every day, asking for kisses. So, when I returned to the present, I quickly confessed my feelings to her. However, the younger version of the school queen looked at me, noticing the glaring hickey on my neck. Her tone turned cold. "You already have a girlfriend, so don't come bothering me." I was at a loss for words, turning to leave, but she grabbed my hand again. Her expression shattered. "Fang, you just want me to be your secret lover, don't you? If you sweet talk me a little more, I'll agree to it." After eating too much at dinner, I lay on my bed playing with my phone. Before I knew it, I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes, staring at an unfamiliar ceiling, I was deep in thought. What was even more terrifying was that when I got up and looked around the room, I noticed a huge wedding photo on the wall. The main characters, me and Liu Ryan. In the photo, she wore a white wedding dress, smiling brightly. Her arm wrapped affectionately around mine. I was dressed in a black suit, looking down at her with a gentle expression. If you ignored the fact that she and I were sworn enemies, you could almost say we were a perfect match. I swallowed hard twice, thinking to myself, what a perfect couple. At that moment, I couldn't help but think the mushrooms I ate for dinner were poisoned, causing me to hallucinate. Just as I reached for my phone to dial 911, I saw the date on the wallpaper. What I saw scared me out of my wits. I had actually traveled 7 years into the future, just as I was still in shock. The bedroom door suddenly swung open. Liu Ryan walked in. She looked different from how I remembered her. She was wearing a white dress, her demeanor more mature than during our university days. With a striking sense of charm, noticing my gaze, her usually cold and aloof expression softened immediately. She took 2 quick steps forward and wrapped her arms around me. I hadn't even reacted yet when Liu Ryan hugged my waist, naturally burying her head in the crook of my neck. In a playful tone, she said, "Hubby, I had to work late today. Did you miss me?" Before I could respond, she continued, "I missed you so much I couldn't focus on the contract." What the heck? Is this really the same cold and prideful school queen I used to know? I blinked, feeling a little uncomfortable, and gently pushed her away. To my surprise, Liu Ryan's beautiful eyes immediately filled with a light layer of tears. She furrowed her brows. In disbelief, Fang Yuan. "You actually pushed me away? Do you not love me anymore? Tell me, have you found some other little kitten outside?" Looking at her hurt expression, I felt a bit at a loss. So awkwardly, I reached out again, trying to give her another hug. But instead, Liu Ryan bent down slightly and rubbed her cheek against my palm with an expression that was absurdly sweet and obedient. For a moment, my heart softened. Then I heard her voice again, taking advantage of the moment. "I knew it. Hubby still loves me. Hubby, let's take a bath together." As she spoke, she stared straight at me, while her hands started unbuttoning her clothes. I quickly turned my head away. Though it was obvious that Liu Ryan had a great figure, I wasn't someone who could easily be swayed by beauty alone. Before I could figure out what was really going on, I had to keep my cool. Besides, she was my sworn enemy. How could I possibly engage in something inappropriate with her? But Liu Ryan, like a seductive demon, came closer again. She kissed my forehead, her voice sultry. "Didn't you say you wanted to see me in a collar and cat ears? I even bought all the props. Is hubby trying to escape now?" I was flustered. What was happening? This situation was making me anxious. I was truly caught between a rock and a hard place. Liu Ryan kept teasing me, saying things that made my heart race and my face flush. After battling with myself for about a second, I ultimately decided to stop resisting, mainly because I didn't know how to come up with a good reason to refuse her. After all, according to the current timeline, we were already married, right? Not to mention, I kind of wanted to see it too. With that thought, I took the initiative, gently biting Liu Ryan's lips. Her eyes darkened with desire, and she scooped me up and carried me into the bathroom. The next morning when I woke up, Liu Ryan had already left the house. I yawned, slowly making my way to the bathroom to freshen up. As I stared at my familiar reflection in the mirror, I zoned out for a moment. So, what exactly is going on here? Based on the scattered information on my phone, one could deduce that I was currently unemployed, while Liu Ryan was the CEO of a company. It seemed like we were in a marriage of convenience and had gotten married just a month ago. But since I had traveled 7 years into the future, did that mean my university self had simply vanished? Filled with all kinds of worries, I finished my breakfast and decided to head out to investigate. However, as soon as I opened the villa's front door, I found myself back inside my apartment, facing the now closed bedroom door. Had I traveled back again? I wondered if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I opened the bedroom door once more, and I was back at the villa. After experimenting 7 or 8 times, I couldn't help but let out a sharp scream, confirming that this unremarkable apartment bedroom door was actually a portal between 2 worlds. Even the time in both worlds flowed at the same rate, and the only person who knew about it was me. Before I could continue analyzing the situation, my phone suddenly rang in my pocket. My friend Hikong had sent me several messages. Feng Yuan, class is about to start. Why aren't you here yet? Did you oversleep? Wake up, this professor is super strict with attendance. I saved you a seat. Thinking about how dangerously close my grades were to failing, I felt a shiver down my spine. I didn't have time to dwell on anything else. I rushed to school as fast as I could. After sneaking into the classroom, I finally let out a sigh of relief as I took my seat. The tension in my chest finally eased. Then, as I turned my head, I realized that sitting to my left was none other than the younger version of Liu Ryan. What on earth, my dear brother? What seat did you pick for me? Hikong, oblivious to the situation, was still whispering in my ear. How about this, Feng Yuan? This seat is pretty hidden, right? And look, there's a stunning beauty sitting next to you. I nodded, feeling utterly hopeless. The class was boring, and as I listened, I couldn't help but sneak glances at Liu Ryan. She was taking notes, her head lowered, her long lashes curling upward. My mind couldn't stop replaying scenes from the night before, especially Liu Ryan's flushed face, damp with water. Just thinking about it made my face heat up. I was about to discreetly look away, when suddenly, Liu Ryan turned and caught me staring. Her fingers paused briefly, but then she turned away expressionless, radiating a cold, distant aura that pushed everyone away. She was so aloof, completely different from the clingy kitten she was last night. I frowned, twirling my pen in my hand. Inwardly, I thought, how could the same person have such a vastly different personality at different ages? What a contrast! Just then, my phone screen lit up unexpectedly. I unlocked it and saw that my WeChat had a newly pinned contact. The same person who was bombarding me with messages. Hubby, baby, are you awake? I miss you, I miss you, I miss you so much. The new green plants I bought are so pretty. Hubby, what do you think? The photo showed Liu Ryan in a long dress, her delicate collarbone visible, with suggestive red marks on her skin. She said she was sharing the picture of the green plants with me, but in reality, the green plant only occupied a tiny corner of the photo. Most of the picture was a selfie of Liu Ryan herself. She tilted her head slightly, her captivating eyes drawing me in. Her perfectly angled profile seemed to glow in the sunlight. I was completely mesmerized. While I was trying to figure out how 27-year-old Liu Ryan could magically appear on my contact list and talk to me across time, I also couldn't help but marvel at how she was already sending me borderline suggestive photos so early in the morning. So I replied with, "Watch your image, the internet isn't a lawless place." I didn't expect her to instantly respond with, Is the green plant not pretty enough? Let me take another one for you. The next photo she sent was even more outrageous. This time, she lifted the hem of her dress and innocently stared into the camera, while the plant still remained in a small corner. Her entire figure was in full view instead. Just as I was about to zoom in and admire the photo, the psychology professor called on me to answer a question. I stared blankly at the 4 options on the PPT. Rubbing the back of my head, I was about to guess blindly, when I suddenly heard a cold voice beside me. Pick A. I answered correctly when I sat down. I couldn't help but glance over at Liu Ryan. It was strange, she actually helped me, but her eyes seemed to be subtly glancing at my phone. That's when I realized my screen was still displaying that revealing photo. I quickly turned off the screen in embarrassment. Liu Ryan calmly turned her gaze back ahead. I pressed my lips together, and only then did I realize something wasn't right. I shouldn't have any relationship with 20-year-old Liu Ryan at this point. So why did I feel like I was sneaking around right under her nose? What was going on? The morning classes finally ended. Feeling unbearably hot, I went back to my dorm, changed into pajamas, and took a nice, long nap. In the afternoon, as I passed by a milk tea shop, I suddenly spotted Liu Ryan. Oh, right, her persona was the cold beauty of the school. She was probably working part-time here now. I thought for a moment, then went inside and ordered a pearl milk tea. Liu Ryan acted like she didn't even know me, coldly taking my order without a single expression. Her face remained impassive the entire time, but when I got my milk tea, I noticed it was filled to the brim with extra toppings. I found a seat and sat down, idly chewing on the straw while zoning out. Liu Ryan and I had a complicated history that began in senior year. That year, I had just transferred schools. I was at my most rebellious. The homeroom teacher knew my grades weren't great, so they specifically arranged for top student Liu Ryan to be my deskmate, with instructions for her to keep a close eye on me. Liu Ryan agreed to the task. If I didn't do my homework, she'd spend the entire evening study session staring at me. She'd keep watching until the pressure got to me, and I finally gave in and started writing. If I skipped class to hang out at the internet cafe, she'd request leave to come find me, embarrassing me in front of all my buddies. When I started dating a girl from the class next door, she would talk to the girl I was dating every day, until she couldn't take it anymore and broke up with me. Honestly, she was stricter than my own mom. The worst part was, I had nowhere to vent my frustrations. After all, both my parents and the homeroom teacher wanted me to be a well-behaved student. So Liu Ryan's methods fit perfectly with what they wanted. And, to be fair, her efforts were effective. By the end of senior year, I had climbed from the bottom of the class to the top 10. I got into the very university I'm attending now. I thought I was finally free of Liu Ryan, but to my surprise, she chose the same university. Not only that, we ended up in the same major, and even the same class. Thankfully, we were all adults now, and she couldn't, nor had the right to, manage me like she did in high school. But then I thought about it. I was technically an adult in senior year too. And so why was Liu Ryan so strict with me? Was it really just a sense of responsibility as the class president? I slowly realized something didn't add up. So I picked up my phone and messaged future Liu Ryan. Wife, are you there? I want to ask you something. She quickly responded, baby, I'm here. What do you want to ask? Your wife will answer anything. I hesitated before typing out a few words. When did you start liking me? On the other side, there was a rare moment of silence. I could see she was typing. After a long pause, she finally sent just 2 words, high school. My eyes widened in shock. Then another message came in, this time a voice note. I opened it and heard Liu Ryan's shy voice, senior year. When you stood on the podium to introduce yourself, you smiled in my direction. A bright, radiant smile. At that moment, I felt my heart skip a beat. Later, I realized it was the feeling of falling in love. As I chewed on the pearls in my drink, I realized I had no memory of that moment. Yet, strangely, a sense of satisfaction crept over me. I had always thought Liu Ryan and I were constantly at odds. But to learn she had secretly liked me all along, it gave me a mischievous thrill. I couldn't help but feel playful. So I smirked and messaged her again. "Wife," I asked, "if I confessed to the 20-year-old you, would you have agreed?" Liu Ryan replied quickly, "Of course, hubby, baby, you know that. No matter what age I am, I could never refuse you." Damn, that actually made me blush. 27-year-old Liu Ryan is way too smooth. I felt like she had me wrapped around her finger. I needed to mess with the current Liu Ryan to restore my balance. It's not because I have a strange sense of humor, really. I waited in the store for quite a while, until Liu Ryan's shift ended. When she finally stepped out, I blocked her at the door. "Hey, Liu Ryan," I whispered. "Come here for a moment. I need to talk to you." I expected her to agree right away, but instead, Liu Ryan lowered her gaze, and the air around her seemed to grow colder. In a heavy tone, she replied, "I don't have time." I was dumbfounded. Wait, wasn't she supposed to secretly like me? Wasn't she unable to resist me? I felt a little indignant. Instinctively, I grabbed the corner of her shirt, teasingly saying, "What I'm about to say is really important. Are you sure you don't want to hear it?" Sure enough, Liu Ryan stopped in her tracks. She cleared her throat softly, and I leaned in, whispering into her ear, "Liu Ryan, I like you." I expected her to freeze, her mind going blank from nervousness. But to my surprise, Liu Ryan took a deep breath, her gaze dark and intense as she stared at me, her voice filled with anger. "Fang Yuan, do you flirt this casually with everyone?" Following her gaze, I realized something was wrong. Looking down at myself, I saw it clear as day hickeys on my neck. Crap, Liu Ryan pressed her lips together, her tone cold. "Since you already have a girlfriend, don't come messing with me." My lips moved, but I couldn't find the words to explain. How could I possibly explain this? Should I really say something like, "Liu Ryan, calm down. This was actually from your future self? It's just that last night, things got a little too intense with the future you, and now the present you is misunderstanding everything." But saying that would make me sound like a lunatic, right? I was at a loss for words, awkwardly turning to leave. But then she grabbed my hand again. Her expression shattered. "Isn't this what you wanted, to make me your secret lover? If you sweet-talk me a little more, I'll agree to it." Wait, what? My mind went blank at those words. So Liu Ryan was willing to throw everything away for love? But I wasn't timing her? I hurriedly tried to explain, "You've got it all wrong. I really don't have a girlfriend right now." Just then, a few more messages popped up on my phone. "Hubby, baby, I made a reservation at your favorite restaurant. Let's go out for dinner tonight, okay?" Liu Ryan immediately saw the messages, along with the contact name I had saved. Clingy wife. Her expression darkened instantly. Great, now there was no way I could explain myself. The atmosphere turned awkwardly silent. Liu Ryan lowered her head, saying nothing. I was about to say something, when she suddenly asked, "Is your girlfriend a student at our university?" I wasn't sure why she wanted to know, but I decided to be honest. "She's already working. And she's not even from the same timeline as you." Liu Ryan's lips curled into a faint smile. "Then I guess I don't need to worry." Her words left me completely confused. What does she mean, she doesn't need to worry? Before I could process it, the next second, Liu Ryan suddenly stopped me, pulled me into her arms, and cupped my face, gazing deeply into my eyes. Without warning, she leaned in and kissed me. Amid the tangle of lips and teeth, she murmured, "If we kiss here, your girlfriend won't find out." I widened my eyes, my heart pounding in my chest. A strange sense of guilt crept in, as if I really was cheating behind my girlfriend's back. But Liu Ryan didn't give me a chance to think. Her kiss was clumsy, but fierce and possessive. She didn't stop until my legs went weak and I could barely stand. Only then did she finally let me go. After regaining my balance, I wiped my slightly swollen lips, trying to come to terms with what just happened. Is Liu Ryan secretly this bold? Her ears were flushed red, and she avoided looking at me. Her voice laced with a hint of apology. Sorry, it was my first time kissing someone. I didn't control the force well. I blinked in surprise, seeing I wasn't responding. She added, "This won't affect your dinner date with your girlfriend, right? Do you want me to drop you off?" I shook my head. My lips were swollen, and they weren't going to return to normal anytime soon. If I met up with the future Liu Ryan for dinner later, she would definitely notice. I glanced at her. Teasing, "Did you do this on purpose?" Liu Ryan met my gaze. Her eyes filled with a subtle sadness. "So that's what you think of me? But I really am a beginner. Couldn't you tell? Forget it, I'm just your secret lover after all. I don't even have the right to be jealous." That wounded tone, it made me feel like I had truly misunderstood her. I quickly looped my arm around hers and said, "Don't think like that. How about I have dinner with you instead? After all, it's the same person. So it doesn't matter who I eat with, right?" Liu Ryan's expression softened instantly, her eyes curving as she smiled. "Okay." I thought my lips would heal after dinner, but on the way home, we ended up kissing for another half hour for reasons unknown. Naturally, my lips swelled up again. I was about to scold Liu Ryan, but when I looked at her innocent expression, I sighed. I could only blame my own lack of willpower. Luckily, I had a backup plan in place. Hikong truly lived up to being my best buddy. When I contacted his future self, I was a bit nervous at first. "Hikong, I have this friend I started. He somehow ended up dating two people at once due to some uncontrollable circumstances. And now he's feeling a lot of psychological pressure. What should he do?" Hikong instantly replied, "Wow, bro, you managed to date two women at the same time? Well, I guess he saw right through me immediately. Do you hate me for it?" I asked, feeling a little awkward. Hikong reassured me. "People are hypocrites, man. When others do it, it's trashy. When your friend does it, just make sure they don't get caught. So what kind of backup do you need from me?" Feeling a bit embarrassed, I explained. Liu Ryan wanted to have dinner with me, but I told her I had plans to eat Sichuan food with you. Hikong was impressed. "That new chick really went hard. Huh, she even kissed you until your lips got swollen. Is she from a big university? Ask her if she has any pretty roommates. Maybe she can introduce me to one." How did he guess that so accurately? It was like Hikong had his ultimate ability ready at all times. "Nothing escapes you, huh?" I laughed. He replied, "Come on, we've been friends for over 10 years. I know you inside out. Don't worry, I had Sichuan food yesterday. I'll post a 9-photo collage on my moments right now and tag you in it, so your wife can be reassured." Hikong added, "I don't mind fang you on, as long as you're happy." "Thanks, Hikong," I said, feeling grateful. "You're the best, man. But seriously, keep an eye on your wife. I feel like her sixth sense is super sharp. Be careful, don't get caught slipping." Hikong added, "If you ever run into trouble, just call me. I'll be your wingman whenever necessary. You're my only real brother, Hikong," I said. "For the next 6 months, whatever you buy, just use my card. I seriously want to spend money on you." After chatting a bit more with Hikong, I noticed it was already close to 9 p.m., so I tittied up and got ready to head back to the villa. As soon as I entered the living room, I saw Liu Ryan standing alone by the window, holding a glass of wine. Her silhouette looked lonely. My heart softened immediately. I lightened my steps and quietly approached her from behind. Then I gently covered her eyes with my hands. In a low voice, I said, "Guess who?" I lowered my voice. "Guess who?" Caught off guard, Liu Ryan's grip on her wine glass slipped, and most of the wine spilled onto her shirt. She didn't seem to care. immediately turning around and tightly hugging me. Her voice was soft and sticky. "Honey, you finally decided to come home." I gently patted her back to comfort her. After a few minutes, Liu Ryan let go, her gaze suddenly locking onto my lips. Before I could react, she lifted her hand, and her fingers lightly brushed over my lips. "How spicy was that Sichuan restaurant?" she asked. "Your lips are all chapped and peeling. It hurts to look at." I stammered, "Yeah, it was pretty spicy. You probably shouldn't go there." Liu Ryan nodded in agreement, but then her expression shifted, and she frowned slightly. She hesitantly reached out and felt around in the pocket of my jacket. In a tone of suspicion, "Hubby, what is this?" A small, exquisite school badge suddenly appeared in Liu Ryan's hand. The badge of a university. I was dumbfounded. Where did this come from? Seeing my silence, Liu Ryan's smile faded from her face. She took a step back, gazing at me with an unreadable expression. My eyelids twitched. I quickly came up with an excuse. Tonight, Hikong and I went to a Sichuan restaurant near a university. He missed his alma mater, so he bought a school badge from the nearby Culture Street as a souvenir. After buying it, he absent-mindedly put the badge in my pocket. I only just remembered it. Hearing this, Liu Ryan chuckled softly. Lazily lifting her lips, she said, "Oh, is that so? I thought my husband had started keeping a young university girl, and she left the badge on purpose to intimidate me. You're all so scary, like a bunch of Sherlock Holmes. Each of you with 800 tricks up your sleeve." Afraid that Liu Ryan would see through the truth, I stepped forward and hugged her, kissing her intimately. "What's so good about those university girls? They're all too immature. I still prefer a lady like my wife." "Did you hear that, darling? I like you. They're really childish." Referring to Liu Ryan herself, you never expected she would be cunning enough to slip her own badge into my pocket. Even though she said with her mouth she didn't care as expected. A woman's words are deceptive little lies. And as soon as I confessed to Liu Ryan, her clear thoughts suddenly got interrupted. She turned her head away. Her ears turned red, and she asked, "How much do you like me?" I gently touched her burning cheek. "The kind of that makes me want to throw you down right now." Liu Ryan was silent for a moment, then let out a soft, teasing laugh with a hint of seduction in it. "Then tonight, I won't resist. You can do whatever you want to me, hubby." As she said this, she looked at me, slowly unbuttoning her shirt, one button at a time, like an unspoken invitation. I swallowed hard. If the 20-year-old Liu Ryan was subtly seductive, then the 27-year-old Liu Ryan was opally alluring. Every move she made hit all the right notes for my desires, and I found myself unable to resist. That night, Liu Ryan told me she'd be working late, so I didn't rush to the villa. Instead, I curled up on the sofa in my apartment, playing games. But suddenly, I got a call from the real Hikong. "Feng Yuan, your wife's alcohol tolerance isn't great. She passed out after just one drink at the gathering. Do you want to come pick her up?" I sat up straight. Since Liu Ryan and I had been getting close on campus recently, I had already come clean to Hikong about her being my wife. Today was her roommate's birthday, and she had told me in advance that she was going to the bar to celebrate. I just didn't expect her to have such a low alcohol tolerance. I opened WeChat and saw that my jealous girlfriend had sent me a bunch of messages just a minute ago. "Baby, my head feels so dizzy. Baby, can you come pick me up?" "Forget it, you should be with your real girlfriend. I shouldn't spoil your good time." Then, one by one, she retracted the messages. Compared to the future Liu Ryan, the current her is more reserved. It was the first time she called me baby on WeChat. She must truly be drunk. It's different. After all, wait for me, I'll be right there. I grabbed my car keys and rushed to the bar. As soon as I walked in, I spotted Liu Ryan from a distance. Everyone else was either joking around or dancing, but she sat quietly in the corner, head lowered. There was even a handsome guy trying to offer her a drink. Liu Ryan's expression was cold. No, my boyfriend will get angry. The handsome guy sighed. Alright, taken by someone else. Liu Ryan heard this and seriously said, thank you. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Liu Ryan immediately turned her head and saw me. Her slightly tipsy eyes lit up for a moment, and she pitifully called out, baby. I took her hand, gently saying, dear, your boyfriend is here to take you home. Once in the car, Liu Ryan stared at me without blinking. Her tone soft, I'm sorry. Did I waste your time? I felt a wave of tenderness. It's alright. Are you feeling unwell? If you're uncomfortable, I'll take you to my place. I have some hangover medicine there. Her cool black eyes suddenly misted over. She covered her forehead. Her voice low and hoarse, I feel terrible. I was about to start the car, but then I thought of the bedroom door and quickly changed my mind. No, I'll just go to the pharmacy and get you some hangover medicine. Then I'll drop you off at a hotel. After all, that door holds to many uncontrollable factors. But Liu Ryan misunderstood something. Her tone suddenly chilled, even carrying a hint of grievance. I know! I won't go to your place. After all, your girlfriend is probably there, right? I don't want her to misunderstand you. I was stumped, not knowing how to respond. So I chose to remain silent. She didn't say anything either, just leaned against the car window with her eyes closed. After I dropped Liu Ryan off at the hotel room, I was about to leave when I heard her muffled voice. You're really just going to leave? My hand, holding the door handle, paused for a moment. Get some rest. Suddenly, my waist was embraced tightly. Liu Ryan rested her head on my shoulder, her breath hot. Stay with me a little longer. Baby, I'm begging you. I cleared my throat, just about to push her away, when my phone suddenly rang. The caller ID read, wife. I hesitated on whether to answer or not, but Liu Ryan spoke again, her voice tinged with jealousy. Baby, why aren't you answering your wife's call? Is it because of me? It's fine. I don't mind at all. Well, I didn't want to push you, but since you insist, I answered the call, immediately hearing a soft, clear voice from the other side. Hubby, baby, I'm almost done with work. Do you want me to bring you anything for a late night snack? I miss you so much. Just thinking about seeing you soon makes working overtime more bearable, I replied simply, then turned my head to look at her. As expected, Liu Ryan's expression darkened. She sneered softly and whispered a comment in my ear. Her voice sounds so fake. Only guys as clueless as you would miss it. I almost burst out laughing. Don't say that. Liu Ryan, calm down. This is your future self. But my attempt to comfort her was misinterpreted. Her face became even more somber. So you're really going to defend her like that? Fang Yuan, tell me, what does she have that I don't? Meanwhile, the voice on the other end of the phone was still sweetly teasing me. Suddenly, Liu Ryan grabbed my hand, her tone seductive. Baby, touch me. Am I really not as good as her? Then I felt warmth under my hand. I was startled and yelped. The person on the other end of the call sounded confused. Hubby, what's happening over there? I was rattled. Nothing, I just bumped into something. Who could understand Liu Ryan's figure? Uncertain, I touched her cheek, still flushed with a slight redness from the alcohol. She hugged me even tighter, her hot, hurried breath brushing against my ear, continuously tempting me. Reject her, won't you? Baby, you only need me. Tell her you're not going back tonight. Come on, baby, say something. Though I wasn't drunk, I felt intoxicated in that moment. Otherwise, how could I have stumbled through telling the person on the phone, I'm not coming home tonight. He Kong needs me for something urgent. Sorry, babe, I'll have to hang up now. Sorry, He Kong, you've been used as an excuse again. After hanging up, I regained a moment of clarity. I struggled to push Liu Ryan away. You're just drunk. Get a good night's sleep and you'll feel better. But Liu Ryan clung to me again. Like a succubus. Her eyes hazy. Weakly pleading, baby. Can't you stay with me? Just for one night. Your girlfriend won't know. The phone rang again. This time Liu Ryan quickly grabbed it and silenced the call, switching my phone to silent mode and tossing it onto the carpet a short distance away as her soft kisses landed on my body. I was still wondering, how did it get to this point? I just wanted to pick her up from the bar. Right, whatever. I didn't want to think about it anymore. Everyone knows I'm a man weak to temptation. When I opened my eyes the next day, Liu Ryan was still asleep. I rubbed my messy hair, got out of bed, and picked up my phone. As soon as I unlocked it, I saw over 20 missed calls. Guilt overwhelmed me. I quickly dialed back. After a moment, the call was answered. Cautiously, I said, "Hello?" My wife hesitated for a second, her tone hard to read. "Hubby, baby." It's 11 o'clock, finally awake. Bracing myself, I lied. "Listen, babe, here's what happened." But Liu Ryan interrupted me. With a cryptic tone, "I know." He called and explained everything to me. It's fine as long as everything's sorted out on his end. I had just woken up, my brain still foggy, so I responded absent-mindedly. There was another pause on the other end, and then she continued, "Hubby. Baby, I'll be on a business trip for a week. I'm already at the airport now. Don't miss me too much." I felt a bit reluctant, so we talked for a while longer. After hanging up, I turned around and noticed that the person on the bed had woken up at some point. Listening quietly for a long time, Liu Ryan was lying there, staring at me innocently. "Baby, you didn't fight because of me, did you?" I shook my head. No, she didn't notice, and she's going to be away for a week. Upon hearing this, Liu Ryan's eyes lit up. She grasped the key point. "So the next week will be just you and me, baby?" I didn't agree, but I didn't refuse either. I just said, "We'll see how you behave." Liu Ryan's behavior was outstanding. Every day, she was full of energy, clinging to me whenever she had free time. We spent that whole week together. After the week ended, I checked the time and arrived at the villa half a day early. At this time, 27-year-old Liu Ryan should still be on the plane. I wanted to prepare a candlelight dinner to surprise her. But when I walked into the living room, I saw her sitting on the sofa, expressionless, a cloud of tension hanging around her. I was shocked. "What's going on?" "Darling, you came back early. You didn't even tell me." I said this while opening the curtains. "Why is it so dark in here? Hubby, is your jet lag messing with you?" No one answered me. Liu Ryan's gaze remained downcast. I realized something was off and tried to hug her. Liu Ryan silently swatted my hand away, turning her head aside. But even then, I could see her reddened eyes, as if she had been crying for a long time. Her eyes were swollen from all the tears. I was dumbfounded. I crouched down in front of her, my face full of concern. "Darling, what's wrong? Is work too stressful? Don't cry. Seeing you cry makes my heart ache." Liu Ryan wiped her tears away, her face cold. "Fang Yuan, you say you care about me. But do you know I came back 2 days ago?" That I genuinely didn't know. Seeing my shocked expression, her gaze became even more icy. She pressed her lips together and threw out a lethal question. "So where have you been the last 2 days?" "Don't bring up He Kong. As far as I know, he went on vacation a few days ago." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Liu Ryan closed her eyes, lightly massaging her temples. She looked incredibly furious. "And do you know you reek of perfume? That school badge last time wasn't an accident. was it? And the night you hung up on me, if I'm not wrong. You were with her, weren't you? Cold sweat poured down my back. Liu Ryan slowly opened her eyes, her gaze darker and colder than the night itself. Fang Yuan, we've only been married for 2 months. And already, I'm not enough for you? I want to see what this other woman has. That's worth you staying out all night for. Give me her contact information. I'm going to have a talk with her. I've really messed up now. I twisted my fingers nervously, not daring to look at her. In a small voice, I said, I really can't give it to you. She and you aren't even from the same timeline. Giving it would just cause chaos. Liu Ryan's jawline tightened. She narrowed her eyes. The pressure in the air felt heavy. You're protecting her that much? Does her family know how shameless she is? Flirting with someone else's husband? If you won't give it to me, I'll find out myself. Sooner or later, I'll track her down and give her a beating. I'll expose her online. Let everyone see what a home-wrecking fox looks like. No, wait, she looks like you. Whether it's you to fighting or not, I'll be the one hurting in the end. I bit my lip, thinking maybe I should just run away. Standing here only seemed to be fueling Liu Ryan's anger, and I could tell she was about to explode. Just as I moved my foot to leave, Liu Ryan grabbed my wrist, pulling me forcefully into her embrace. I ended up sitting on her lap, unable to move. Liu Ryan grabbed my chin, smiling wickedly, trying to get rid of me. To run off with your side piece, Fang Yuan? Don't even think about it. She looked at me, her eyes slowly filling with tears again, her voice starting to tremble. I'll never let go. Unless I die. I was silent. I felt like an awful person. Here Liu Ryan was, so heartbroken, and yet I was strangely excited. It's mostly because when she cries, her eyes turn red. Even though her tone is so fierce, but it had no real intimidation. Thinking about that, I gave her a smack, kissing her on the cheek. I then sincerely apologized. Sorry, darling, it's all my fault for making you upset. After saying that, I kissed her again. Liu Ryan was dumbfounded by my kisses. She frowned and stared at me for a long while, then suddenly softened her tone. Fang Yuan, do you love me? Without hesitation, I nodded. Of course I love you. Even though I started with a playful mindset, after spending so much time together, I realized that I had truly fallen for Liu Ryan, whether it's the current her or her future self. As long as it's Liu Ryan, I like her. Hearing this, Liu Ryan slightly curled her lips. Her tone was light, then swore to me that there won't be a next time. I immediately swore to the heavens. After all, both people were Liu Ryan, so it couldn't really be considered cheating, right? Liu Ryan's expression softened a bit, but then she demanded, and also, cut off all contact with that other person immediately. Don't speak to her again. I hesitated for a moment. This was a bit difficult for me, so I kissed Liu Ryan once more, trying to change the subject. Let's not talk about her, okay? Liu Ryan saw right through my little trick. Her expression shifted, and finally, she grabbed the back of my head, biting me as a punishment. But soon, that punishment turned into something else. When I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open, I heard Liu Ryan whisper in my ear, Fang Yuan, you keep testing my limits because you know I can't leave you. I wrapped my arms around her neck, mumbling sleepily, so, do you forgive me? She gritted her teeth and spat out the 2 words, I forgive. Satisfied, I smiled. Lately, I've been stuck in a dilemma. Ever since both versions of Liu Ryan discovered each other's existence, they've become even clingier and more creative with their tricks. Every day, they find new ways to seduce me. No wonder they are essentially the same person. Even their little schemes are identical. One moment, one of them buys me a ring, claiming her rightful place as the main partner. The next moment, The other one casually leaves a woman's watch in my pocket, deliberately making sure the other one finds it. It hasn't even been 2 weeks, and I already feel like I have constant headaches, back pain, and pain everywhere. These two are wearing me out. I decided it's time to lay everything out in the open, because constantly jumping between two timelines is draining me. So I brought the 20-year-old Liu Ryan to my apartment. She thought she was finally being made the official one and started teasing. "Baby, if I come straight in, won't your girlfriend be mad?" I didn't say anything. I just motioned for her to open the bedroom door. Sure enough, the next second, both of us were inside the villa. The 27-year-old Liu Ryan was waiting for me to join her for dinner. When she heard the door open, she happily called out, "Hubby," and came out to greet me. I took a step to the side, not blocking her view. The two versions of Liu Ryan were both startled when they saw each other. Then both turned their gaze towards me. Confused, they asked, "Hubby, who is she, baby? What's going on?" I had thought about telling the truth before, but for some reason, every time I started to speak, I'd get a terrible headache. This time, I made up my mind, enduring the pain, and quickly explained everything. Then I passed out. In the last moment before losing consciousness, I heard both women's panicked voices calling out, "Baby, hubby." When I opened my eyes again, I realized I was translucent, and in front of me was a hospital bed, with a man lying on it. The man had a face identical to mine. He looked at me and smiled slightly. "Fang Yuan, I'm sure you figured it out by now. I am your 27-year-old self. Because of excessive drinking, smoking, and an irregular lifestyle, I was diagnosed with liver cancer this year. At this point, I had only been married to Liu Ryan for 6 months. Unlike what you experienced, there were no external disruptions in my life. Liu Ryan and I didn't meet during our university days. We were introduced by our families for a blind date, and after spending some time together, I gradually developed feelings for her. After we got married, I accidentally found her diary and learned that she had silently loved me since high school. But due to her poor family background, she felt insecure and didn't dare approach me with nothing to offer. Upon discovering all of this, I felt a deep sense of unwillingness. I wasn't willing to accept that I would die so young. I wasn't willing to accept that Liu Ryan and I had already missed so many years and that we were about to experience separation again. So I prayed to the gods and Buddha, climbing 99 steps at the temple despite my illness, hoping they would grant me another chance to rewrite my destiny, to take better care of my health, and to never miss out on Liu Ryan again. I wanted my past self to know how much Liu Ryan from the future truly loves me. And fortunately, everything came true. The gods heard my plea. As everything in front of me started to fade, I faintly heard a voice saying, "Fang Yuan, congratulations, you have successfully changed your destiny." When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying on my bed in the bedroom. I checked my phone and saw several messages from He Kong. "Fang Yuan, class is about to start. Why aren't you here yet? Don't tell me you overslept again. Wake up. This teacher is super strict about attendance. I've saved a seat for you, hurry up." I leapt out of bed like a fish and tentatively opened the bedroom door. But nothing seemed different, so I realized I had returned to the day when it all hadn't started yet. With that thought, I quickly rushed to the classroom, sneaking in through the back and slipping into my seat. I looked to my left and, as expected, Liu Ryan was sitting there, diligently taking notes, his face serious. But I had no focus for the lecture. I just stared at his profile, lost in thought, blatantly. Even He Kong, sitting next to me, whispered, "We're in class, control yourself." I told him, I like him too much. I can't control it. During the lecture, Liu Ryan glanced at me several times, until he couldn't take it anymore. He wrote me a note, "Fang Yuan, pay attention to the class." As I took the note, I mischievously hooked my finger with his. Liu Ryan's ears immediately turned bright red. I pressed my lips together, smiling. After class, while the other students packed up and left, I blocked Liu Ryan at the door, preventing him from leaving. He looked down at me, his tone cold. Fang Yuan, please respect yourself. I blinked and straight up confessed, Liu Ryan, I like you. I know you like me too. Let's be together. Liu Ryan stiffened. A flicker of light passed through his eyes. But then, as if something crossed his mind, his expression dimmed again. We're not right for each other. I tilted my head and blew him a kiss. What's not right? You like me. That's perfect. Liu Ryan's cheeks flushed a light red. He started to stammer. Fan Yuan, don't be like this. Wow, that's the third time you've rejected me, I muttered, shoving him slightly before turning to leave. Honestly, I don't like you that much either. What a joke, you're so dense. If you don't want to be my girlfriend, someone else will. After a brief silence, I heard Liu Ryan's resigned voice behind me. I'm willing. My plan succeeded. I smiled and kissed him lightly at the corner of his lips. From today onward, girlfriend, please take care of me. Liu Ryan touched the corner of his lips, dazed, then smiled gently. He looked down at me, his expression incredibly soft. Boyfriend, please take care of me. I hugged her tightly and silently thought, Liu Ryan, this time we won't miss out on so many years. We'll go from school uniforms to wedding dresses. Long-lasting happiness.